I actually have a personal experience with Patch. We have an adopted child whose mother has been incarcerated and will be for quite some time. My question to you is, do you have a device that you follow up with the caregivers or the drivers that you can find out what kind of effect these visits, I mean, you make it sound like it's very wonderful and positive, but we all know that they're not always wonderful and positive. So the people then that need to be able to give back to you to say, now what's the response from the children? You continue to see the offender and you know what their response is going to be. But from the children who either are with a driver, either they're going to get feedback from them or they're going to go back to their caregivers, and in the next 24 hours you're probably going to have some kind of response from the child, either positive or not positive. Do you have any kind of device that you follow up with those visits?
Well, that's a good point, and so noted, but we do keep in close touch with our drivers because we talk to them constantly about the next visit, and so they would be sure to tell us if there was any kind of a response, and of course from the driver or the family, because we're in touch with the caregivers a lot. There's a group, a number of moms that we're always working with all the time, so we are planning the next visit. We are working right now. We just got funding from Children's Trust Fund of Missouri, and which is the first time Patch in 25 years has ever had any kind of grant funding like that. But we have put several things in place, and we're working on a baseline survey now to talk to the caregivers, to do on the phone, to ask them about some of the high-risk indicators for children of incarcerated parents, like school, how they're doing in school, how they are emotionally, those kinds of things, and then check back, like in a few months too, to see what the effects. These are for our new mothers that we're getting, but I feel like we can call back immediately and find out how the ride home was, but we talk to them so soon again that they keep us informed about anything that goes on, or what the experience was when they took the kids back home, or what the experience was like picking the children up, or whatever there was.
I'm sorry.
To kind of, I'm the visit coordinator, and
she does all of that.
I don't think I've ever had just a single Patch visit without a subsequent visit a month or 6 weeks later, or what have you. But whenever I call the caregiver, I let them know what mom has done. And it's up to the caregiver if the child comes.
Yes.
Mom can do every parenting class and attend every support group, but if the caregiver is not comfortable with the child coming, we're not, it's about the child. And does the child want to come? Does the caregiver want the child to come if the child doesn't want to come?
And that was my intention of that follow-up, with that caregiver, especially on first or second time experience. What kind of effect did that visit have on a child? Especially if it's the first visit, there's a lot of things that are going on there, regardless of the age, whether you're infant or teens.
Right.
So that would be my recommendation or suggestion to you, that you have some kind of device that you always know what the effect on the child. I'm obviously from CASA, so my perspective is always child's best interest.
Well, I will reiterate what Melissa said. Our focus is the child. We want the child to feel comfortable. That's why we observe the visit. We talk to the caregiver. I got a mom came all the way through parenting classes, and she was ready for a visit. And I had called her, the caregiver of her family. It was her mother, and she tracked me down, and she said, "These girls are not ready. This mother has disappointed them time and time again. We've had them in therapy. We feel like this is not the right time. I know she's getting ready and she thinks it's time, but we don't think it's time." And I said, this is totally up to you. You are in charge of when this happens. We do not push. We just let you know what's happening. We write letters to tell them about Patch and tell them what their family member is doing, but we do not. It's totally up to the caregiver. They drive the bus, so to speak.
Thank you.
Barb, something else if I can kind of add to that. During the visits, in watching and going in and out, I try to go in and out of the rooms frequently, but not hovering. And there's been times that I'm seeing the visit going south. And so then I'll step in and say, like recently I had to visit that the younger son he was mad. He was mad because the walls were white. Just mad. So
And he's entitled sometimes.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I pulled him out with me. Unfortunately, it was only one visit, and we did a craft while mom and older son were having their time, and then I swapped him out. So there's, we're there to help support mom when she gets overwhelmed.
But totally to protect the children and to think about them.
When we're there, we're also there to help mom and or child. There's been times I've seen kids look at me like,
Right.
it's like,
When you get one mom and several kids, they're fighting over mom, and they're fighting, so we deal with that too.
I have a question for the panel. I mean, there's everything's for the mom, which is great, and I heard this gentleman say, I don't remember your name, talk about how mothers know where their children are. But I'm sure there are fathers out there that are incarcerated that would like to have that same kind of relationship with their children. Are there any programs out there for fathers like the Patch that will
Not exactly. Not exactly.
parents, father-parents together?
My background's a little different than theirs. I'm an academic, but before I was an academic, I worked in juvenile and worked in corrections, was on a parole board in Arizona, and then on a federal parole commission before I went to academia. So my whole life, which has been long, has been about prisons and prison philosophy and trying. I mean, this is crazy that America is #1 and locks up more people than any other country in the world. I mean, we are doing many things wrong. And reentry has been my emphasis, as well as things like restorative justice and so on, which have been things I've been trying to do. One of the things I do, and I've been at Park now for 14 years, is try to convince students to understand that you don't have to lock everybody up, that there are all kinds of programs and other things that can be done and so our present plan of locking everybody up for long periods of time is actually not working. What I do and what I am currently doing is I teach a course at the United States Penitentiary, which has men in it. So I'm getting to the male part. It's half Park students and it's half incarcerated inmates. I usually do it in the camp. Sometimes I've done it in the penitentiary. And the point of this, you could probably guess, but one of the points is for my students to have some kind of understanding of who inmates actually are and that they are actually people and so on. What I think that the men get out of this is a real awareness of a caring community of people who, and they talk a lot. This is an academic course. My students get credit. The inmates take it, they don't get any credit. But what they tell me they get out of it, I mean, I give them a nice certificate, but what they tell me they get out of it is some, not only an awareness of caring people in the community, but there are also lots of conversations about, I mean, these are students, so they're usually about the same age as many of the inmates have children at approximately those same ages, and there's a whole lot of conversation about parenting and about what's right and about what's not right. It's not part of my academic program, but it actually happens. So it's not directly like these programs that they've been describing, but it's what I feel I can do.
And I don't know if you heard, StoryLink is available in 12 women's facilities, and hopefully we'll go to all facilities in the next few years.
As far as Girl Scouting is concerned, there is not one in Missouri, but in Ohio they have a father-daughter visitation program. We have tried to do that in Missouri, but we have